welcome. Good morning to those of you listening and viewing. Welcome to the Mid Morning Buzz here on Classic Radio GBN TV. And of course, let me say good morning to Mr. Brian Grams. Good morning to you, sir. How you doing?
Good morning.
Nice to have you back.
Good morning.
Nice to have you back. Not like have you back.
Yeah. It's that time of year again. It's Cooperative Spotlight. So I'm really happy to be back on the platform. And I want to say morning to everybody who's listening out there in Grenada, who's hustling and bustling and just being productive and trying to earn that dollar.
Yes.
So good morning to you.
You know, we've been doing this particular program for a wee bit. Cooperative Spotlight, where of course, the option is brought out by the Cooperative Department.
Yeah.
And the Department of Cooperative, where you come and enlighten listeners and viewers.
Yeah.
The interests who probably been thinking about starting a cooperative, who are in cooperative, trying to understand more about their cooperatives, the entire function. Get lots of folks are things that they know about
yes,
as
true.
much. You understand?
That's where we come in.
And that's where you folks come in here and speak about that.
Yeah.
And let them know how to get up to speed, if I'm saying it right. How to get up to speed in terms of the activities, what's going on in their cooperative. So then you may join a particular cooperative and say, I join it because someone encourages you to join it. But you lack the knowledge, understanding, or you may not take the time to read the bylaws and all of these things that are responsible for you being there. So this is where this program comes in and enlightens you and educates you too.
Yes.
You understand?
True.
So for the next couple of weeks, you're going to be here?
Yeah, well, we have the Division of Cooperatives. We are putting on the Cooperative Spotlight, which you're very familiar with at this point.
Yes.
Based on the fact that you have hosted it over the last couple of years, you're an expert in cooperatives. Well, we're here not to educate you, but to the listeners and viewers, the general public. So we're going to be doing a run spaced out from this month all up to September. So our last program will be in September. Hopefully that will be capped off by our registrar, who is the head of department. Right? So you'll be seeing different faces apart from Brian Grimes. You'll be seeing people from the Grenada Cooperative League Limited. You'll be seeing people from different cooperatives. CTEC is probably up next.
Yes.
You'll be seeing people from Mana Basket. You'll be seeing a lot of different people, even from our division, right? So it should be an exciting next couple of months. And apart from that, this is the International Year of Cooperatives. So we want to do it really, really good this year, do it good and proper. We are coordinated with the Grenada Cooperative League Limited, and you will have a representative from there coming on to explain what they do at their respective organization. But the last time we had the International Year of Cooperatives was in 2012. Right? And it's here right now in 2025, so we're excited. The International Day of Cooperatives will be the first Saturday in the month of July. That's the 5th. So on the 4th of July, we'll be having what we would call at this point a cooperative fair in front of the Esplanade Mall courtyard there, so people can come and see, get literature, interact with people from cooperatives all around the island, Minor Spices, Mana Basket, Gov, whoever, so you can see what products and services they have to offer and just learn all about cooperatives in a very, very fun setting.
All right. I have to ask you that. This may be a question that's been asked me at the time. Department of Cooperative. Tell us the main functions of it, per se.
The cooperative?
Yeah.
Or the division?
The division of cooperative.
Right. So
I always say the department for some reason, but it's the division of cooperative.
No, you're not wrong.
I'm not wrong.
No, you're not wrong. So the term can be interchangeably used. Just for technical reasons, I'm saying division and department, and it's based on the size of the staff at the point in time. So if you say department, you're not wrong, and if you say division, you're not wrong. So I will give you a pass on that.
All right.
Yeah, but basically,
I hope you pass 50%.
Yeah, no, you get an A, man. Basically, what we do, we regulate and we educate. So as far as what I'm doing now, I'm telling the general public all about cooperatives, and just for the purpose of definition, because we have to define what it is before we go along and speak all the other things. A cooperative basically is a democratically run, jointly owned business enterprise where its members come together to fulfill social, economic and cultural aspirations. So you come together. And the first thing you have to understand in terms of legal requirements, you need at least 10 persons to form a cooperative. If you can get 20, 100, 1,000, that will be fantastic. But based on legal requirements, you cannot go
just for that basic startup.
Yeah, you can't go less than 10. So back to your question, what do? We educate, we promote, and we help cooperatives form within our country. And cooperatives is like, in my view, it's really a best kept secret because it's a fantastic model. You can earn millions being part of a cooperative. And one example, and that cooperative will come on here and tell you all about the business, and that's the Commercial Transport Enterprise Cooperative Limited, aka CTEC, located on Morris Bishop Highway. I think you may know, but the viewers may not know, they are $1 million enterprise, and they are expanding into the rural areas within our country, and specifically Canal Road in St. Andrews, close to Pearl.
I think I have
been around the island.
I certainly noticed the project that they're getting involved in there.
So when that is completed,
that will certainly be a plus for that.
Yeah, man. When that is completed, hundreds of jobs, and there's just a lot of hustle and bustle and commerce around that area, and more products and services for the people in the area to be able to access. So we help form, we help regulate the existing cooperatives. So for example, we may go to the CTEC and say to them, look, what's going on with your books today? What are you doing? We give them advice based on the Cooperative Societies Act, Act number 8 of 2011. We use that act to really assess and make sure that things fall within a certain legal framework, because when you have business, you can't just go about it willy-nilly, right? So
especially when money is involved, that's a crucial part of it too.
Thank you, sir.
Especially.
So, you made a fantastic point there when money is involved, because with a cooperative, the members are really the owners.
Yes.
And we are here to make sure that things are kept at a certain level. So just for the sake of education again to the general public, there are basically two types of cooperatives, right? The financial cooperatives, which are the credit unions, which is a billion-dollar industry within not just Grenada. And I'm not exaggerating it, the region and the world at large. In terms of assets, it's probably up to $1 billion in assets collectively just in Grenada alone, right? And that deals with, money.
Yes.
Arisa, Communal Credit Union, Grenville Credit Union, all these credit unions, they are cooperatives, but they are financial. Our division or department, we oversee the non-financials. It's not as lucrative, but it provides great potential and opportunity for our people once it's run in the right way. So we have places like Subi's Fishermen Cooperative and so forth. So there's a fundamental difference. So one has to understand, if you're listening, the financial cooperatives are regulated by GAFIN, the Grenada Authority for the Regulation of Financial Institutions. GAFIN, you're familiar with GAFIN. And the non-financials, we basically, as a division of cooperatives, we were established in 1957. We oversee and regulate and promote non-financial cooperatives. We also give training and education to members of the non-financial cooperatives. So that's basically our function.
Is it also the of course, part of the workings of the vision of cooperative to help cooperative get started is also part of the...
Of course. So for this year, we have members of staff. In terms of the education, I play a key role in going out there to speak to respective groups about the powers of cooperative, give them general education, and we have spoken to about 5 groups so far. We have done some inter-ministerial, collaborations with the Ministry of Youth. There is this program called the Elevate Her, where young ladies
I actually had the minister yesterday,
right? And
we had some discussion.
Yeah, so we do some partnerships, inter-ministerial. We actually share the same flow and thing.
Not actually the minister, but the permanent secretary.
The permanent secretary. Be careful, huh?
Yes. yes. My bad.
Yes. So we are the same floor, and so we work together as public officers. We really collaborate in everything we do. And by the way, it's basically Public Service Month, so there's a lot going on there.
Yes.
So they told us about our division, our department, about the I'm going to say division going forward, about these groups, and we spoke to them, and the young ladies were very receptive to the idea. Some of them are very, very industrious and want to start businesses and want to work together, because this is what cooperatives are about, collaborating.
And think about like minds coming together as females. Females have a way of getting things done.
Yes.
And think about it. I mean, we real fellas, we know. We get things done too, but it's always, you can always leave it up to the ladies to get it done right. Maybe if we're saying it better.
Yes. Well, I mean, you know what's going on with the ladies? I mean, ladies are amazing to me, and it's not an official cooperative, but the family structure. Think it's a cooperative.
For true.
Basically, women are the backbone of families internationally, regionally, locally. They have a lot of single parent households. People work, take care of children. Sometimes they have more than one job.
Yes.
Right? So we know what the ladies can do.
Yeah.
Right? We know what the ladies can do. So the cooperative, we dealt with the Division of Cooperatives, dealt with the Ministry of Youth. We set up some meetings with the young ladies from the Elevate Her program, and they were very, very receptive to the business model and the potential that it brings to them earning money and just collaborating as Grenadians. So
and the option is just getting it set up properly and going through the process and doing what they have to do, and with like minds thinking together.
We also dealt with a group from St. David's, that's fishermen.
Yeah.
And the cooperative model, GT, is very, very diverse.
Yeah.
Right? You could do a lot of different things with it. So we have agriculture cooperatives, we have fishing cooperatives, we have service cooperatives at CTEC. They sell fuel and all different sorts of things. Supermarket, they have a supermarket within that whole framework of that cooperative model. It is very diverse, but specifically where it works extremely well. So if there are fishermen and farmers out there with groups, you can contact our department at 435-8779 and call us to find out all about cooperatives, so we can come to you and give some presentations and lead you into the process to see how much interest you have and what potential you have to actually turn into a viable cooperative. And one should keep in mind, when you come to us as a division of cooperatives, it's not just about, we have about, or let's say 10 people, we have 15 people here. It's not just that. You have to have a viable business in mind. So you have to have a good business plan.
Yes.
Right?
That is also encouraged in the startup process.
You have to have a plan where you could say, this model or this approach we are taking here will be of good benefit to our community, our country in this particular way. This is the product or service that is in demand that we can go about delivering to the public in general. So yes, so this is what we have to do, and currently we are working on a few cooperatives or potential cooperatives, groups who want to turn into cooperatives. For example, there's a group in Carriacou currently that we are working assiduously with, along with the Grenada Cooperative League Limited, our partner organization. They want to get into poultry, and our department is very excited about that.
I mean, it's the style of Carriacou, knowing the devastation of Hurricane Beryl and having a cooperative want to start on that level now. It's a plus.
Yeah. We're very excited about that, and before the end of the year, hopefully they can form once they go through all the rigorous steps into forming into a cooperative. And then GT, we talk about the benefits of cooperatives. I mean, at the end of the day, we know what the import-export bill is like. It's ridiculous in terms of us imported meat, and the meat that we import, it's not always of the best in terms of our health. I might just want to go off our conversation a little bit and talk about, we have a high rate of cancer in our country. I saw a statistic the other day, we're probably the highest in the region per capita.
I also read that.
I would want to believe probably is the foods that we import and we eat. So if you have local production, which minimizes in terms of chemicals, and maybe things can be done more organically, if people can consume locally, maybe we can be healthier as a population.
May I ask you this? As you along that line, in encouraging of individuals who decide they want to start a cooperative, and someone may come and a group of individuals may come and say, "Hey, I want to make telephones just for sake."
Interesting.
Would you say, well, as the division, would you say, "Hey, I think it may be better if you go that particular road, do that"? Do you get into those kind of conversation with groups and say, hey, instead of phones, because of the fact there may be 50 other phone manufacturers already, or folks who are dealing in phones, but would you go to that far to tell them, I think there's a lack in that market for that particular development? Do the division go that route?
Of course we do, because we are supposed to be experienced, we are supposed to be knowledgeable, and we are supposed to be there to give sound and sage advice to members of the public, right? So if there is something that is not feasible, not doable, not reasonable, we would not encourage them to go in that particular direction. That is why I made the previous point. We talk about if you have a lot of members, but if your business plan is not something that is viable, and our department or division, and the league does not see as viable, we would not encourage you to go in that direction. We could point you in a different direction. However, if you can convince us based on the strength and
this is what I want to do. This is what I want to do
of your business plan, of course, we will just facilitate the process, but we'll advise on many different levels.
All right. Is cooperatives allowed after the formation of a cooperative, and of course you give your division gives the okay to go ahead. Hey, form that cooperative. You have reached a particular mandate with all the information that is needed from you, and they decided, hey, I wanted to start. Let's go with telephones again, but you, in the process of starting up, they decided, hey, I want to switch to headphones.
Yeah, well.
Because sometimes they may say, well, what we thought initially of starting, we now see is not being lucrative. Or maybe after a month or two or three, we realize, hey, that ain't working, as a cooperative.
Yes.
Where does your division fit in there now?
GT, well, you're a businessman. So you know that business is all about evolution, diversification, and expansion.
So true.
So, for example, CTEC, who I always like to use because they are,
it's one of the better examples, I would say.
Let me be frank. They are a premier cooperative in terms of, how they operate and things of that nature. I'll be frank about that. They started off just selling fuel, right? They expanded into a mini supermarket, and they expanded into providing auto supplies and things of that nature. So you never stay the same way. So if a business, when they start off, they probably want to expand or diversify, we encourage that because this thing is not about stagnation. What we frown upon, and we have seen examples of that with cooperatives in the past, they start off in one way and they stay the same way. They actually sort of lose the market.
You're not seeing that growth.
You're not seeing that growth. They lose the market. They don't expand their clientele. They don't expand the scope of business. And therefore, that will lead to certain debt in a business setting. So a business person, including cooperatives, you have to look at the market. You have to look at ways, how can I please the clientele? How can I get a greater share of the market? And a cooperative is no different to any other type of business when it comes to that.
All right. I mean, I'm happy to hear that because, I always thought, well, how can a cooperative, maybe in the initial starting of the business, we wanted to do that. And then you see folks branch off the other thing. If that will become a problem with the division. But it's not a problem.
Not at all.
It's not a problem. Okay, you want to, this is what you say you want to do. I mean, let's say you go to a financial institution and you say you're taking a loan to do this, but you do something else.
It's a very interesting point you brought up because cooperatives generally operate by 7 principles. And one of the key principles is that they are autonomous and independent.
Okay.
So, for example, if you go to a government agency for assistance in a matter financially, right? That agency or government cannot tell you, well, okay, we're not giving you this, or if we give you this, you must do this or you must do that. They cannot dictate the terms. That is with the owners of the business, which are the members or the shareholders, right? In terms of the direction the cooperative goes. One can only advise. So even us as the regulators, we can only advise on the issue. Once you're formed, there is a certain autonomy with your organization.
That is left up to your organization.
Yeah, the members, they do that in the AGMs and the special meetings and so forth. So there's a certain independence and autonomy to
I like that, because I was always thinking that, the division mandates how the functioning of the cooperative runs.
So some people might be wary of the presence of where they only come in and mind with business and all these sort of things. No, there's autonomy and independence. We provide education and training.
Yes.
So that's one of the things that we do. So sometimes you have to understand the origin of cooperatives. Yes. In 1844 in the UK, this is where the concept of cooperatives came about, when there was heavy industrialization.
Yes.
Right? People were losing their jobs. Well, we're talking about AI now. That's our next revolution. People might lose their jobs to AI. At that time, it was heavy machinery and so forth. So people lost their jobs, but they have to take care of their families and themselves. So they formed in the cooperatives. Nothing is better than when people
coming together,
pool resources mentally, financially. This is the best way communities and countries can succeed. And this is what the cooperative is about. So one has to understand that more than likely, a lot of the times here, vulnerable groups will hang on to that cooperative model. Maybe marginalized women, or maybe even young people. Nowadays, you can't call young people marginalized. Yes. So with that, there may be some deficiencies, GT, in terms of education and skills, right? So for example, let's talk about fishermen. Fishermen they have a PhD in fishing. They are fantastic, brave, courageous. They go out there, they do have what they have to do to catch fish. They are very versatile in terms of the types of fishing, and creative in terms of how they catch their fish. But guess what? They may not be the best at bookkeeping. So this is where the department or the division comes in, the division of cooperatives, where even if we don't have the resource personnel within our agency or division to assist them, we will get that for them,
offer them
guidance. Yes, that they can get training. And we had some successful training sessions in 2024 and 2025. Our cooperatives that we oversee, they can look forward to those trainings.
It may be an odd question I want to ask. It may be odd. I'm not sure how you will see it. This is never a foolish question. When a cooperative is deemed non-financial, I understand the financial ones, the riser and the CTEC and all of these things, they are deemed financial because of the fact what they deal with. The survival ratio for those that is deemed non-financial. As you speak about the fishermen, yes, they have some finance involved because they're selling fish and whatever. You understand? A couple of ladies who maybe decided we doing crochet or whatever, and they decided they want to form a cooperative for that. But that is they are centralized under the non-financial. Right? I want, how does the cooperative division comes in and monitor the how could I bring it across to you, the longevity of these particular.
That's a good question, because the financial cooperatives the longevity is amazing. Because we're talking about money. And then when you talk about money and you add members, you compound the money, and then you invest the money, and it grows and grows and grows. With the non-financials, the survival rate is not as strong, and this is where our division and the league comes in, and this is where our education comes in. But you see, the survival is predicated not on the viability of the model, because it is proven to be one of the best models ever. It's predicated on the education of its members, the ability to maneuver.
And keep it together.
So, for example, CTEC has some, over the years, in terms of their expansion, they have people on the board who have a certain level of education. And apart from education, dedication. Apart from dedication, honesty. Right? And good values of togetherness and so forth. So these are the factors that decide how long the cooperatives live for. Do they diversify? I've seen cooperatives, some of them they still around, but the things are not thriving as they should, because have they diversified their business? Have they gone out there and aggressively sought new clientele to expand their business? Maybe not.
And the incentives plays an important part in that too, to the members.
Right. Right. So you cannot, how you operate here in 2025, if you start off as a cooperative and you operate in the same way in 2030, then something is not
something
right.
Is wrong.
Something is not right. So the survival rate, it's a great question. It's something that the government of Grenada, they are looking, and kudos must be given to the administration in terms of looking at cooperatives as a way to increase our gross domestic product. Because Huggins, Hubbards, the government of Grenada, communal credit union, they can't hire everybody.
So true.
But if people understand that they can become adventurous and venture into starting their own businesses and making monies and so forth, and even hiring others, the country and the GDP will grow, and we will become more self-sufficient as a nation. And this is where cooperatives come in, and this is why I want people to really, the International Year of Cooperatives, really hang on and seek as much knowledge as they can, and come to our fairs, call our department so that we can reach out to you and your groups and so forth, so that this model can really become entrenched in our society as it is in other countries such as Dominica, Japan. Japan is a very cooperative society. Even when they have hurricanes, GT, out there, and buildings crash and people hungry, guess what? They're lining up to get whatever goods they have to get. There's a certain level of discipline
that's
that
what
is required
I was
to
saying
be part
is the
of
discipline
a
of the individuals.
Yeah, the discipline. And nobody has ever accused Grenadians of being the most disciplined people, so it's a challenge, but we're getting there.
I always say, Grenada is an island that is not a lack of talents.
Oh my God!
And think about individuals would like talents coming together.
Amazing.
And instead of everyone trying to do their own thing, I wonder if you get a guess of where I'm coming from.
Of course.
And there could be 10 or 20 individuals you could be driving along the road, and they're all mechanics. Think about that, right? What about if you see that 10 individuals coming together, form a cooperative, and maybe come out of the biggest mechanical institution in Grenada?
Let me tell you something.
Those are great ideas that individuals probably not looking at.
Let me tell you something. I'm no genius, not even close, but I have enough sense to know that most things, when we talk about pooling resources, talent, money is everything. This is how it works. This is how insurance works.
Yeah.
Health insurance, you fall sick, people may not fall sick, but they have contributed, but you benefit from that.
Yes.
Asusu, same thing. NIS, National Insurance Scheme, the same thing. Right? Whatever you can think about that has longevity and extreme success, more often than not, it is group dominated or group driven, and people have pooled their resources to ensure that all goes well with it. And this is something I hope our society really grabs onto, in terms of being connected for us to develop in so many different ways. We have to really sort of minimize the existing divides that exist within our society, right? We have to come together in a very strong way, and the epitome of that, the personification of that, is that cooperative business model. Now, I spoke to the fact about it's not an official cooperative, but the family structure is a cooperative. It's the same set of values that it takes. So if we apply that to business, there's no telling where our society and where our country can go.
Mr. Graham, we're going to take a wrap for today, but I certainly hope that there are folks who are listening and viewing this program this morning will stick with us for the next couple of weeks. We're going to September.
Yeah, we're going to September.
And listen to us every week as we share the information that was certainly able to draw groups of individuals together to form a. So we might hear next year you coming around and tell me, GT, after this year's program, we were able to see 14 new cooperatives being formed in Grenada.
Wonderful.
I know it's a high figure, but we see 14 new cooperatives, and they would say it was a spin-off of listening to this program, and we're able to speak to the individuals. We possess the same title, talent to say, and I think if we pool it together, instead of have me working on one alone, I can have 10 of us doing 10 together. And you never know. The rest
I think by the time we end the cooperative spotlight in September, we will have a couple at least one, especially as one in Carriacou that we're working on.
That will just certainly be
so as I sit here, once I leave here, I'm going to the Grenada Cooperative League for us to work on the paperwork and work on that dynamics to ensure that this cooperative comes to reality.
Sure.
So we on the ball, the division of cooperatives, we are working hard to really promote that business model and to really encourage Grenadians to get into it. And as a byproduct of that, I think our country and our society will definitely improve. Right. So it's a great pleasure.
Mr. Grimes, it's always a pleasure talking to you, sir. Yeah. Until we do this again. Have a good one.
All right, good.
Take it easy. All the best. Hey, folks, that's join us again for another edition. Most likely be next week. Of course, we'll have someone else popping in. Mr. Grimes mentioned he may not be every week, but he's certainly going to take the time to pop in from time to time. Of course, when it's due for him to. You can't say he ain't coming back. Hey, folks, until then, have a good one. As we say goodbye for this edition. Goodbye, folks.